Hello, Ilana. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so great. How are you?
I'm so excited to be here.
Are you?
I feel like we've been talking about this for a while and we keep meeting up. Guys, Jen has gotten me out of bed to go get coffee at 8:30 in the morning. Fine, it's been 9 a.m. But for me, it feels like 6 a.m.
No, but you have to leave by 8:30.
I have to leave by 8:30, which means I have to really get up at 7:30 because I also have to walk Berkeley. But by the time I get there, she's already done a whole workout class, showered, done her hair, done some work. And I'm like, this was really hard for me to get here. Anyways.
Well, there's two types of people, but also your full-time content. I literally don't have a choice but to do other stuff before work.
But think about how much more I could get done in my life if I also...
Yeah, but you don't need to. You know? You're crushing it. I'm hustling to get to where you are. So I have to do Pilates at 7:30.
Anywho, point being, our coffee chats are they need to all be recorded.
Right. So this is what keeps happening. We go for coffee and we're like, we need to put this on a podcast.
Yeah, why are there not mics with us right now?
Also, the best part is okay, there's two types of people. Someone who would rather get drinks and someone who would rather get coffee. And I have one every time.
So here's the thing about that is that you make me want to get coffee.
Oh my God, that is the nicest thing you could ever say.
I'm a changed woman because of you.
That's honestly a really big compliment.
Yeah. And now I feel also more inclined with other people when I'm setting up a time to meet or hang out, whatever. I'm more inclined to do a coffee date.
It just is a great way to set up your day.
Yeah.
It makes me feel inspired, connected. Okay, you give me an idea, right? Oh, you should be doing this. Then I can actually go do it after.
Also, I feel not only does it set the day off so right, I literally leave at least our coffee dates feeling on a high. You know when you meet people or you, because we're new friends.
Yeah.
I mean, we've now known each other for 2 years, but we're actually hanging out semi-regularly now.
Seen each other 4 times in our lives.
Yeah. Semi-regular. Anywho,
we're regulars.
I feel as I've gotten older, I've paid a lot more attention to how I feel after being with certain people. And it's so interesting to see friendships that I've had for so long. Sometimes I just feel very drained after, exhausted. And then I meet someone like you and some other new friends that I've met and just also some other friends I've had forever. And I feel so rejuvenated and excited. And I don't leave wondering oh, what are they thinking about me or saying about me now? I just leave feeling really positive.
I took stock on that, I want to say a year ago, because I'm very proud of myself now that I think about it, but I think it might just be because I work till 7 p.m. now. But I used to book up my Google Calendar like a crazy person and let people make me feel guilty for being too busy. Do you know what I mean? Someone would try to make plans with me and I'd be like, well, I can have plans in 4 Wednesdays from now. And I would feel so guilty. And so then I took a step back and I was like, okay, especially now that I have a full-time job till 7, who do I actually want to hang out with? And who do I just feel obligated to hang out with or anxious that I haven't in a month because I feel guilty?
Well, let me ask you this. What do you do when those people ask you to hang out?
It's interesting. They haven't. No, because now that I think about it, I don't know if I gave off a certain energy, but I don't, I guess what I'm saying is I don't struggle with that anymore. And if I think about, I think I just stopped giving it energy. If someone asked me for plans, it was just oh, no, I can't. And not I would overcommit and spread myself too thin and then start, it was just way too much. And now it's just kind of a known thing. Jen doesn't really hang out on weekday nights. I'm just not going to ask her.
Yeah.
It's kind of just once you own your stuff, it's and you're confident in your decisions and in saying oh, I don't like to get drinks on a Monday night because I like to work out in the morning. I'm not going to feel guilty for that anymore.
Yeah.
And so now people just don't ask me and don't make me feel guilty about it because I'm so confident in that choice. Does that make sense?
I love that for you.
Yeah, thanks.
I need to take notes.
Do you? I feel you loved getting drinks on a weeknight.
See, 3 weeks before, the idea sounds great.
This was exactly
and the day of, I'm what was I thinking?
We love a canceled plan.
Love.
This is why we've only hung out 4 times.
We probably canceled twice as many as that.
Yeah.
But we're both very supportive when we do cancel.
So that's my other thing. When people make me feel guilty, I'm always the friend that's overly nice when you cancel because I never want to feel guilty or anxious about canceling on someone else. I want a friend that's oh, you're anxious and tired? You should stay in.
Yeah, please do not go out right now.
Instead of wait, are you serious? We made this plan 2 weeks ago. I don't have any of those people in my life anymore.
It's great.
It's great for you.
It's great.
Okay, let's get into what's in alignment and out of alignment for you. What is in alignment for you right now, Ilana Dunn?
I recently came off of a crazy few weeks where very high highs, very low lows.
List off the highs, please, because it's actually not normal.
It's not. It's really not. I got engaged.
Congrats.
Thank you. Prior to the week that I got engaged, I was very sick, but I knew that I was getting engaged.
Oh, shit. I didn't know you knew that.
I knew. So I was like, okay, I have to get better. So there was a lot of pressure on me to get better. He didn't know that I knew, but I figured it out.
Got it.
Anywho, then we flew to Florida to celebrate our engagement with our families who were down there. And then I had my best friend's bachelorette party 4 days later. And then I came back and had 4 Jonas Brothers concerts, and I interviewed the Jonas Brothers, which is like a lifelong, beyond my wildest dreams thing. And then I got sick again.
Why are you always sick?
It was just so much.
There's a lot of travel, a lot of stress.
To get engaged, have that bachelorette party, and then have this week of concerts and so much anxiety leading up to this interview.
No, I'm having secondhand anxiety.
No, exactly.
Please stop.
And so many people were texting me being like, oh my God, what's it feel like to live my dream and all this shit. And I'm like, listen, this is all of my dreams coming true at once, but I've also never been so anxious. And I haven't been this anxious in years because it was just so much.
A really interesting, it's so funny. We're all always hoping and waiting for that time where everything's happening and we're so excited, but it's then you're there and you're either overwhelmed, anxious, whatever it is. Like the Octopussy guy.
Yes.
He's literally on top of the world right now with all the celebrities and he's on all these interviews and he posted a picture of himself crying because he's I'm not okay.
Yeah, that was me. So anywho, that's all over. And I'm now in a few weeks into getting back into a routine. Mm-hmm. And that feels so nice.
Okay.
So that is what's in alignment. I'm just feeling normal again.
It's so interesting that you were on so many highs, but craved normalcy and routine.
It's I think I get this way too when I'm on a long vacation. After maybe 5 days, I just want normalcy again.
Yeah. I actually get that. And it's also that weird lull when you're first coming back and you feel so out of sorts and anxious. It's the in-between that's the anxiety. Yeah. And then once you start to feel like yourself again, you're okay, I can breathe.
Yeah. It was like Sunday scaries constantly. Because also, think about it, in these 2 weeks, plus the week before when I was sick, I didn't do work.
That was all in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was a month.
The engagement to the Jonas Brothers interview with the bachelorette party, a trip to Florida, and 4 concerts in between, that was a Monday to the following Friday. That wasn't even 2 weeks. That was 12 days.
You went to the full bachelorette party?
Yes.
Good for you. That's fucking nuts. But this is something I would get myself in. That sounds like a me thing where I'm either I have nothing or it's everything. All at once.
All at once. Yeah.
Okay, so then what's out of alignment?
Wedding planning is a bitch.
You just got engaged.
I know.
Was this something you knew, once I get engaged, I want to plan a wedding right away? Or you got excited? What's...
I felt a lot of pressure. Not from anyone, just pressure if I don't start now, okay, we got engaged the first week of March. In our minds, we don't have a dream date that we need to get married, but we're oh yeah, spring sounds really nice. Mm-hmm. May, June sounds great. And it's well, guess what? Everyone else also wants May, June. So I suddenly felt all of this external pressure just from society and the fact that it's a high peak wedding season. Okay, I have to start looking at venues now because otherwise I'm going to fall in love with the venue and they're not going to have dates available. And so then my parents also wanted to be a part of the process. So, and of course I wouldn't have wanted to do it without them, but they're in Florida. So they flew up. We did 11 venues in 3 days, which nobody should ever do.
It wasn't fun.
It was first so exhausting and overwhelming. It was too much. It was way too much. Anywho, I'm glad we did it because
11.
A lot of the places that we liked, there were very few dates or no dates in the timeline that we wanted. So
did you book?
We ended up picking a venue that we love. We got an amazing date in June of next year.
Amazing.
But it's the smallest venue of all of the ones we looked at. And so the second we said, yes, this is the venue we love, this is where we want to get married, it became a reality of everyone is going to have to cut their list down.
You already made a list?
We had to because...
So why did you look at this? Because you would be okay with having a smaller wedding.
We didn't really realize.
Okay. I understand the stress.
We didn't really realize. And in hindsight, I'm why did we look here?
Right.
but we didn't realize at the time that there was like a hard number cutoff for the space. And now we realize that. And everyone's being so supportive. I mean, like, our parents are all like, no, like, you guys, like, your list is priority. Like, we'll cut ours. But then I feel bad hearing the people that they have to cut.
Yeah.
For the people that, like, some of the people that we're inviting. And it just makes me feel sad. Like, I want
everyone there.
I want everyone there. I want everyone to be happy. And now it's kind of this situation where we're all going to have really hard conversations. I'm feeling really fearful of some people who I love, who I hope that they understand and don't take it so personally and like end a friendship over it, because I've seen that happen. And so I literally, like, I'm losing sleep over this. Like, last night I was tossing and turning and fully awake from like 2:30 to 5 a.m.
But if someone's getting a cut, let's say, for lack of a better term, you can't be that, or is it people that you're crazy close with that would actually have the balls to end a friendship? Because that's crazy.
It's tough, because here's the thing. It's like, there's college friends, there's home friends, there's friends I've met in my 20s. There's people who, what it comes down to, backing up, is like every single person I know is in a serious relationship.
The plus ones.
I basically only get to invite 25 friends to my wedding.
Wait, why don't you just
not do plus ones?
Yeah.
That feels so cruel. Like, I would
have
be
you
upset.
done the rule of like
they're all living together. They're all engaged. They're living together.
It's serious.
Yeah. And then I'm like, well,
Okay.
I don't wish for anyone to break up, but that'd be really helpful.
not to stress you out, would you switch venues?
So no, we're not.
Okay.
We signed the contract. The deposit is sent. This is the venue we loved. We looked at 11.
Okay, if you're losing sleep over this, I think you need to like do it fast. Like, make the cuts, have the conversation so that you can then move on and like enjoy your life.
Yes, but at the same time, a lot can change in a year.
I know.
So
That's
I don't.
so true.
That's the other part. Is like,
You're
there
worried.
are people who are like, let's get dinner, let's celebrate. There are people who are sending me gifts who I love, and I feel so uncomfortable and so guilty because I don't know if they're going to end up being invited. But I don't want to say things to people now, because who knows what will happen in a year.
It's also weird if you have like an engagement party and you're like, do I invite people who aren't going to be
We're
at the
literally
wedding?
not having an engagement
For that
party
reason?
partially to avoid that.
Because that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I always think about that. I'm like, so everyone here is invited to the wedding, right? Like, why
Yeah.
would you be at an engagement party if you're not invited?
Right.
It's like weird.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really stressful.
Yeah.
Do you know this is why I'm like terrified to get engaged?
I get it. I've been losing sleep for a year and a half over if I'm going to have bridesmaids, and if I do, who I'm going. Yeah.
Who's getting the cut?
And every photographer, we're interviewing photographers now, and they're like, so talk us through your wedding. Like, what does everything look like? And then they ask about the bridal party. I'm like, listen, I'm either having like 7 people, 10 people, or 0 people.
I've heard that like bridesmaids are out. Not that it matters, but I'm just saying, apparently bridesmaids are chuggy. Someone just told me that.
Okay, I don't think they're chuggy. I think it's wonderful, and like, I want to have them, but I've also seen a few of my best friends get married and not have bridesmaids, and they were so happy with their decision.
I'm kind of in like an in-between where I feel like I would still want my girls there, like getting ready with me and everything, but like it's kind of like maybe some things, not other things.
Well, that's the thing, is I can opt to do that.
Yes.
But then I'm still going to ultimately end up leaving people out.
Yeah. Why the fuck? Sorry, this is making me mad. Why are weddings so stressful? Like, it should be the happiest time of your life. And people are always like, why don't you want to get engaged yet? You've been with him forever. And it's like, I'm ready for him to be my fiance. Like, I want nothing more than to have a ring on my finger and like be more serious in that sense.
Have a ring on your finger.
Thank you. I was already going to ask you for it. Everyone I hang out with, I ask them for the ring. So gorgeous. Except
I didn't even notice. You're great. You're perfect.
Okay. So now I'm good because
Yeah, now you have a ring on your finger.
No, like what I'm saying is like the meaning behind it, I'm ready for.
Yeah.
The idea of then having like I'm not naive to the fact that it's like yes, it's that part of wedding planning that I didn't even think of with like friends and whatnot, but it's also like you have to ask your parents like who's willing to what like the budget of it all stresses me. That's the part that makes me anxious is like the parents having to talk and who's contributing what and like I want to be able to contribute in some way and I can't financially and it's just like that's the shit that stresses me out personally.
There are a lot of awkward conversations. There are a lot of uncomfortable decisions that have to be made. And it's so hard because at the end of the day, everyone's like, it's your wedding. Be selfish. Do what makes you happy. And it's like, Well,
There's so many other people involved.
yeah. Like my friend said that to me not for the first time, but my friend said that to me last week. And it was probably like the first time in like 2 weeks that I had heard it once I like really dove into planning. So it felt like a whole new statement to me. And I literally responded being like, listen, I'm not saying I'm a saint here by any means, but I have not thought about myself for 1 single second during this process.
This feels like a theme, though. Like, I think you need to start thinking about yourself. You should journal on this, honestly. Like, what do I want out of my wedding? Who do I want there? And, like, think about who would make you anxious if they're not there. And it's like making the decision with just yourself first, and then we figure out how you go about it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Work
mean?
backwards.
Yeah. I don't want to have a wedding.
This is literally, well, I know, and then it's like,
stressing me
well,
out.
should we just like go elope and have like a wonderful, like it could be still beautiful, like with our family and a few
know.
friends.
No. Because it's
Like,
also,
maybe?
because everyone's
No.
like, oh, but it's only for one day. And it's like, but it also is like a life experience that you'll have forever. So it is important, but like, it's just funny. People who get engaged younger, I feel like they're just so excited and don't realize. And then once you're someone who has already had friends get engaged, you realize how much goes into it. And everyone always said, like, don't, like, planning my wedding was the worst year of my life or whatever. Like, a lot of people say that, and I honestly get it.
Yeah.
So I feel like no one talks about that enough, though. Like, I feel like this is the first
It's
podcast where you'll
literally
hear.
all I want to talk about, but then I'm like, am I going to regret talking about this? Like, is my mom going to hear this and be like, Ilana, why are you talking about this? Like,
No, because you're not saying anything.
Yeah.
Like, what are you saying that's so crazy?
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
just stressful.
it's shit that people don't really talk about because it's like awkward. Like, oh, is a friend going to be listening to this, wondering if they're invited? But like, this is something every single bride goes through.
Yeah.
You can't invite every single person. Yeah. And also, like, it's expensive. It's like,
oh my,
you're paying per
it's
person.
A fucking arm and a leg.
That's why I get mad when people say that, like, people are mad at them for not inviting them. I'm like, are you going to pay for your own plate?
Right.
Also, like, friends that get mad that they're not a bridesmaid, that shit makes me anxious.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Me too.
Okay, let's... So something we do here on Dare to Self-Care in the intro is breathe in what's in alignment, breathe out what's out of alignment.
Okay.
I feel like we should do that.
Let's do it.
Ready? We're going to take a deep breath in.
Okay.
Let that shit go. Okay, let's talk about...
Fly away.
Let's talk about dating.
Let's talk about dating.
Let's talk about something a lot more fun.
You ready, guys? You date and you struggle with dating so that you can fall in love and then struggle with planning a wedding. I hope I've made you really excited to find your person.
And lose all your friends. It's so fun. So everyone's like, I'm so jealous that person's engaged, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not. They're having to ask, like, their in-laws, how much are you going to pay? Like, it's like so much random shit that you don't think about. But anyway,
dating.
I put on my story asking like what topics people want us to hit, and I was actually very surprised with the votes. Most people clicked how to be independent in a relationship, and I did just kind of speak about this with Natalie a lot, so we don't have to go into it too much, but I'm curious for you. Have you had serious relationships before him?
My last like official serious relationship was literally my first relationship in high school, but I had a lot of like serious, long, drawn out, like year-plus long situationships.
Okay, got it. So then you never really had the chance to like lose yourself in...
Oh, I did.
Okay, so then going into this relationship, were you...
Completely different.
But was that because it was just healthier naturally, or you actively decided...
Both.
Okay.
Okay, so backstory, I was in a really toxic, unhealthy relationship, situationship for almost a year, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago now. 5 years ago. And it was with somebody I was working with. And because we were working together, he wanted to keep it a secret.
I know the story.
Yes. So, I mean, call it what you want or whatever, but this is somebody I was spending 5, 6, 7 days a week with. Flew halfway across the country to spend a week with his family over the holidays.
Can I just say, if you don't know the story... Remember when there was that trend where you like sing?
Yeah.
That is why I know the story. And it hit, like, did that go viral or something?
Yes.
It must have, because like I still remember every detail of it. It was captivating.
I don't even know how that sound went, but yes, it was like...
It was like, one thing about me
is a few years ago. Wait, I could literally probably find the...
Should I just play it in the mic and then we can fast forward?
Hold on. For some reason, when I made that video, I was like, this is going to go viral.
Oh, you knew.
Yeah. I knew. And it did. And then I was like, oh, fuck. Like, because I wonder, I know I'm blocked by him on Instagram. I don't know if I'm blocked by him elsewhere. I haven't looked. I feel like him and his friends have a silent rule of, like, they just don't speak about me.
Interesting. Yeah, like, I wonder if that went around in the group chat.
Right.
Okay, so you were in a toxic situationship.
I was in a toxic situationship to the point where, like, all of my friends knew. My roommates knew. I wasn't sleeping home most nights of the week, but he wouldn't call me his girlfriend. It was a secret from his best friend, who we also worked with. And, so he was in a band. It was the other guy in a band who we had to keep it a secret from. But, like, the three of us were literally spending every weekend together, like, going to New Jersey to go to the studio and, like, sleeping over, going to, like, 6-hour-long road trips to do shows, like, in meetings together. And at the same time, maybe that same day, I would be going to his apartment and the other one would still be there and just have decided to stay longer. And I'd have to, like, stand on a street corner or walk around a grocery store for 2 hours just waiting. And it was the most painful thing in the world. Like, I literally at one point, I had to hide in the laundry room because the guy decided to come back because he left something there.
I hate this.
And it was so painful to feel not good enough to, like, be known.
Yeah.
Like, it was so...
What are you hiding? Are you embarrassed?
Exactly. Exactly. And all of my friends saw it. You know, it was so interesting because in the beginning, it seemed so positive. My friends, literally, like, 2 months in, my friends were like, Lana, we've never seen you so happy.
Right. Because you're excited. And,
fast forward.
Also, the hiding is probably kind of, like, fun and exciting for a minute.
Exactly. It was. Like, there were, like, probably 4 months leading up to it, like, before we even kissed, where, like, we would stay up all night, like, sitting on my roof or, like, in my bed, like, talking about, like, our hopes and our dreams and our future and, like, how we have this connection, but we're afraid to do something about it. And, like, literally we spent months doing that before we ever even kissed.
You were for sure in love with him.
1,000%.
This is crazy.
Yeah. And so fast forward to a few months later, it went from we've never seen you so happy to, like, we're really concerned. We don't like how he treats you.
And you couldn't stop.
No. And so I pushed them all away because I was like, well, you don't see what it's like when it's just me and him, which is true.
Right.
That was true.
No, that's valid.
But that doesn't mean it was okay.
It doesn't mean he was treating you right.
And once you start making excuses for somebody's behavior, that's when I think you're in really dangerous territory. So I really, like, completely lost myself in this relationship. And to the point where, like, when he ended things with me, I didn't know which way was up. Like, I had never experienced depression or anxiety before, and I was at rock fucking bottom, a level where I did not know could exist. And I didn't want to see anything. I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to talk to anyone. And I literally did not know who I was anymore.
You probably had zero self-worth. None. On top of the grief from a relationship, not only the relationship, but what you were hoping it would turn into.
Yeah. And I felt like, what did I do to deserve this? Why am I not capable of being loved? Like,
we're in a normal relationship,
right,
or being shown or seen.
Exactly. And it was so painful. And it's like, also, like, how can somebody who says they care about me so much hurt me like this and do this to me? And, you know, the craziest thing is fast forward and we were still working together. We were still seeing each other almost every day.
So fucked up.
And so we'd be, like, in meetings with people, and then I'd, like, have to excuse myself to go to the bathroom and cry. But then also act like I was okay because the other one still didn't know.
That's the craziest part, that even then he didn't know.
He didn't know. And so it became this, like, thing where we were, like, threatening each other. Like, I wanted so badly to tell him the whole time, to tell the friend, and he so badly didn't. And it got to the point where I almost, like, threatened him, like, I'm going to tell him because this is not okay. And this has never been okay. And he was like, well, screw you. I already told him. And I'm like, what did you tell him? And so then me and the other one, like, we're talking, and he's like, let's find a time to, like, go for a walk and talk. And we went and we, like, sat down on a bench, and he's like, it's okay, Ilana. He told me everything. I know you guys kissed once. It's okay. Jen, you don't understand. I didn't know which way was up. I was like, what?
The pit in your stomach, like, your heart probably fell out of your vagina.
But I didn't even have an ounce of courage to defend myself. Up. But I'm like, ask any of my friends, ask my roommates who have not seen me for the last like season or two because I have not been home because I've been at his apartment. Like, what the fuck do you think we did when I like went? Like, why do you think I flew to visit his family? Like,
that part's nuts.
and he was like, well, Ilana, like this clearly wasn't happening because like the whole time he's been like going on dates and hooking up with other girls.
All I can think about is like, thank God he ended things, because usually people like this,
I
and
never would have.
right. I was gonna say, usually in these situations, like the girl will stay in it for as long as the guy will tolerate the situation, and like, so the fact that he ended it when he did, thank God.
I never would have left, as horrible as I felt, and trust me, like I'm not like innocent in this situation. Like I'm so ashamed and embarrassed by like the way I behaved.
It was a toxic situation.
Yeah.
You were definitely not making each other better people.
No.
Let's put it that way.
And all the while, you know, there would be nights where he wouldn't answer me. It'd be like a Thursday or Friday or Saturday night and he's not answering me. And I would get suspicious. And I'm like, are you out with another girl? And this was like before we had all heard the term like gaslighting.
Yeah.
And he would make me feel crazy for doing that. So then I'd call him 20 times.
Fucking classic.
Because I was like, what's going on here?
Classic.
And yeah, it was just, anywho, I lost myself in this relationship.
It's funny because now looking at you, like I didn't know you then.
Yeah.
And you were in such a healthy, normal, cute
crazy.
relationship. And it's wild,
It's wild
to think about. Like your fiance is probably like, I don't know that person.
Yeah, yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's,
Yeah.
So, okay, so now you're in this relationship. What did you take from that one that you're now applying to this healthier relationship?
So a few things. One, I was really lucky to be in a position where I pushed away all of my friends and they all waited around for me to accept their help and support and love. I never wanted to get into a situation where someone was my entire life ever again. Because first of all, the second you let that happen, there's no more relationship. Because a relationship is about two individuals. Think of it as a Venn diagram. On one side, here's Ilana and all of the things that Ilana loves and all of the people in Ilana's life and Ilana's hobbies and Ilana's passions and Ilana's past. On the other side is Jen. All of the things Jen loves, all of the people Jen loves, Jen's hobbies, Jen's passions, Jen's values, Jen's past. And then in the middle is your relationship together, who you guys are when you come together, who we are, the things we like to do together, the people we spend time with, the hobbies we have, the adventures we go on, the things that we share, the things we learn from one another. And the second Ilana stops being Ilana and just becomes
The
middle, or tries to even just be in Jen's world, you're not going to still want to be with me or love me or see me the same because I'm no longer the same person as I was.
I also think it's important as a partner, because it's not even just expecting it from your partner, but also as the partner yourself, to almost push each other to like do the things. Like if you notice that your partner hasn't, I don't know, loves reading and is more anxious lately and hasn't read, like you want your I'm getting confused with who I'm talking about. Let's say
You want the person that you're with to do the things that they love.
Yes. So like if I'm with you and you're super anxious lately and I notice you haven't been doing like the hobbies that you love or hanging out with your friends or whatever it might be, like you want me to be the person to say, wait, you haven't done this in a while. Not like spend more time with me. Let's do this. And like I feel like if you don't have that communication between the two of you where you're helping each other, I think a lot of people feel guilty for wanting their own lives because they might be with someone who's like a little clingier.
Yeah.
So they feel that like guilt and shame of wanting to hang out with their friends, and they're like, oh, do I have to invite him? Like blah, blah, blah. If you don't feel like you can have that open communication where you're like, oh, I haven't seen my friends in a while, and he should be saying, oh, go hang out with your friends.
Exactly.
Like, I'll do my own thing here. Like, you should.
Exactly. So to put it kind of give that to a real life example, like when I was with this guy in my past, anytime he was going to do something else with like someone else or something that like I wasn't invited or like have a boys' day, like I would get really upset because like, why don't you want me there? Now,
red flag.
Fast forward, when Jake wants to even just play Xbox or go to a game with his friends or go to a bar or go play basketball, I'm like, yeah, go do that. Great. I'll either like hang at home and relax or I will go hang out with my friends.
By the way, ever since moving in together, fucking love when he has plans and leaves me alone.
Right? It's nice to have like our space.
Like, I'm very, very independent, and so having a night where I feel like I live alone, like I thrive, and then he comes home and it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Like, if you're always together and always have the same life, you can't miss each other. Yeah. You can't, like, you want to love that person for everything that makes them them, and when you become one person, it's almost like the lines get
annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying. Think about if I didn't want to do anything on my own and only wanted to do the things that you wanted to do.
Well, that would give me the ick because I'm a very independent person, but some people fall into that.
I think it's so just important to maintain the things that you like to do. If you are in, let's say, a kickball league this spring, and over the summer you meet somebody and they really want to hang out on Wednesday nights, but Wednesday nights is when you play kickball with your friends, like, don't not play kickball.
Yes.
Don't not re-sign up for that league just because it's another night that you could spend with them after that league ends. No, like, you have to continue to maintain your friendships, to maintain your hobbies, to grow individually, because if you're not growing individually, then you're not going to be able to grow together.
1000%. And when you start to date someone and form into one person and do the same things Wednesday nights, or even like inviting him to go to the fucking kickball league, like, no, let it be your own thing. And also, like, I totally understand getting swept away at first and wanting to spend all your time with them, but like, if your friend asks you to hang out, or you already had plans with a friend, like, just push yourself to go. You will always be happier in the end. And like, you also need to maintain your friendship so that if something does happen, you get in a fight, like, you need to be able to vent to your girls. Am I wrong?
You need to have your people, and you want to have your people. And here's what I try and remind people of. Like, we've all been in that situation where we've felt really hurt when our friends have gotten into relationships and we feel left behind because they're so engulfed with this person. They're so excited about this person that they stop making plans with us.
It's very upsetting.
FaceTiming us and checking in on us. And we've all felt that pain, and we don't want to put that on our friends.
I feel like we've all been in the situation where we have that friend and then they like finally show up to the thing because they have to. It's like they come to the birthday because they have to. It's a birthday and you're like, they don't even want to be here.
Or they come and they bring their partner and they're only talking to that person.
100%. And it's not even like, don't be that girl, but it's like, just think about your thoughts of that friend, and like, you feel neglected and you feel like you're not important anymore, and like they would really just rather not spend time with you, and it's a really shitty feeling. And then you're kind of left with nothing if you get in a fight with your significant other, things don't work out, or you do need a break from them and want to get out of the house or whatever. Like, you don't want your friends to start feeling used just when like we also, I feel like, all have that friend who they only make plans with you when like their boyfriend's busy.
Right.
We all know the person who does that. And like, that's a shitty feeling. Like, you need to prioritize your friendships as much as you prioritize your partner. And I totally get that it can be hard at first, but I have many friends who then they end up going on a break with their boyfriend or whatnot. And then they realize like once they take a step back, they're like, holy shit, what have I been doing the last 6 months? Like, only focusing on this person. And then
that's probably what led to them needing to take a break.
1,000,000%, because like, oh, okay, let's go back to the Venn diagram, which I love. I'm very into working out and you're like so not, and we start to date and I start just completely neglecting my morning workouts because like you would rather, I don't know, get breakfast when I usually work out. And then it's like, that is something that really fuels my cup and lifts me up and all the things.
It's a part of you.
Yes. And it should remain. Yeah. You shouldn't change who you are for someone else, I guess, essentially is the moral of the story here. And also, you should try to pay attention to like, is your partner pushing you or encouraging you to do the things that make you, or are they making you feel guilty and wanting you to always be with them instead?
Absolutely.
I think that's a good like reflection, little journal entry moment.
No, I think so too. And listen, we're all guilty of it. I'm not saying I've been perfect and I haven't neglected my friends or I've lost myself in the excitement of getting into a new relationship. I definitely have, but I've also, like, my best friend Christina, she and I had a very open conversation. We actually recorded this as a podcast episode. One of the questions, it was like my childhood best friends interviewing me about like my dating history.
Cute.
Was the topic. And one of the questions was like, is Ilana good at like maintaining her independence or like continuing her friendships when she gets into a relationship? And Christina was very honest about like, in the past, absolutely fucking not.
Right.
I was horrible at it. And and I both noticed that when I met Jake, it was different. And I didn't just get so wrapped up in the relationship. It was like, yes, I had this new and exciting person in my life, but it wasn't in place of everything else. It was just in addition to.
I would also assume that it's because at this point, this was the first time you got into a relationship with your established career.
Yeah.
That's right? Because I feel like when you have your own things, like I think in the past in college when you're finding yourself, whatnot, like it's so easy to just be like, oh, I'm with this person. Like,
right.
But once you have like an established passion, career, hobbies, like as your own person, it's a little easier to navigate the newness. But also I think it sounds like you just found someone who probably does encourage you or not even encourage, but just like accept that you have your own life and wasn't trying to change you.
Yeah. I think it's a mix of everything. So here's the interesting thing about it is I definitely did not feel like established. I had just been let go from Hinge like 2 months before and had just decided to start seeing other people and like freelance. But I was in a better place. And Jake and I, he also had just been let go. We were both let go from jobs a few months before we met within like 2 days from each other.
That's crazy.
And we had both just like started new jobs right when we met. And we always say like, had we gone on a date or had we met like 3 months, 6 months before, it wouldn't have worked because we actually weren't in the right place mentally for a relationship for each other.
I feel like it's meant to be. Yeah. It's so cute. Okay, another thing that people wanted to hear from us, which
what do they want to hear?
We're such pussies.
We can do it.
Busting sex myths.
Yeah.
And so Ilana and I, during one of these coffee dates that we did not record, have spoken about the fact that, especially because she has a dating podcast, and for me, talking about self-care and taking care of yourself so much and like wanting to be real and raw and honest and have relatable conversations, sex is really like integral to the conversation in both of those topics, but yet we both feel so uncomfortable not talking about it with each other or even on the mic. We feel uncomfortable about, and tell me if I'm wrong on your end, I think this is right, we both feel uncomfortable about like parents and significant other parents watching this.
Literally every single thing I say on my podcast, on anyone else's podcast, I filter through the lens of like, my mom and Jake's mom are going to hear this. What do I not want them to hear?
And by the way, like I think we're far enough into this episode where no one would hear it, but it's the TikTok clips.
This is the clip. This is going to be the clip.
This is the clip.
But it's what the people need to hear.
So Mom, Dad, Donna, Bobby, Greg, Melissa.
Go to the next episode.
All of the parents, shut this shit off, please. And it's like, I don't even have a family that's like so prude or PG or anything like that. It's just like uncomfortable.
Me fixing my hair in preparation for the clips.
Okay. Fuck. How do we like filter clips? Whatever. This will be a conversation for me and you after.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So what is a myth? And if you need to take a minute, you could take a minute.
Don't need.
What is a myth that you have heard that you're like, let's bust this shit right now?
It frustrates me so much when I hear celebrities, influencers, people who have a big audience saying that if you are not having sex 3 to 4 times a week with the person you're dating, your partner, whoever it is, then there's something wrong in your relationship. That is not fucking true.
I also can't tell you the amount of times, I think once you hit a certain age or get close enough with your girlfriends, you all start opening up about it. But I do feel like kind of that time right after college when it should be like the sexiest time for relationships just because of your age. I feel like everyone tries to act, even if they aren't having sex even every week. I feel like everyone, even your closest friends, still act or say that you are because you're like uncomfortable to admit it, because if you admit that you're not having sex every fucking time you hang out, that like there's something wrong.
Right. And here's, I think, a way that people kind of blur those lines is just saying like, oh yeah, we hooked up. And to everyone that means something different, but people aren't going to question it because they're just going to assume.
But like, let's be real. Even people who to this day listening to this episode would say, no, I do have sex every single time we hang out or every night and we live together. I don't believe you.
I don't believe you. If it's true, good for you.
I don't believe you.
Here's the thing is like, I have been getting more and more frustrated every time I see this, because when I see it, I'll then talk to somebody in my world about it, whether it be a friend, a listener, someone else who creates content, whoever it is. And they're like, no, I see that too. And it makes me question, like, is something wrong with me? Because I love my partner, but we have sex like once or twice a month and that's it. And I'm like, thank you.
That's normal. Also, like, things ebb and flow. It is
ebb and
never
flow. People
going
get stressed. Well, life is so fucking hard.
People grieve. Like, there's so many circumstances.
You have kids, you have pets.
But even if you don't, Do you know what I mean? Like, I also don't want it to be like you need to have this grand excuse for not, because I started, I want to say a year ago, being very intentional about opening up to my friends. I used to feel like I had to like hide family secrets or hide the truth about how often I have sex and things like that, because like I didn't want anyone judging me. But I started just getting like very intentionally honest with people I feel close to. And one point on this is like, so I've said before, oh yeah, I've gone weeks, if not like a month more without having sex before. I've been in a relationship for 11 years. Like, things ebb and flow. Like, right. Of course I've gone that long. And I've had one circumstance where, actually more so, more people feel relieved when I say that. They're exactly. Like, wait, you too? And I'm like, holy shit. It's like they're fucking, their minds are blown, and you could see their walls break down, and they just feel all of a sudden like, oh my God, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with my relationship. And I have felt that too. And I guarantee if this podcast came out and it was two other people saying this 3 years ago, like, I would have dropped to my knees and been like, holy fucking shit, I can breathe. Yeah. Like, I'm a perfectionist in every area of my life. So I used to feel so guilty. Like, am I not pleasing him by not having sex every single time we hang out or multiple times a week? Like, am I not being a good girlfriend? Is he going to end up going somewhere else? Like, that's another layer to it, where it's like you feel like you're being a bad girlfriend because everyone on the internet is saying that they're giving blowjobs every night.
Yeah, and it really makes you question, like, wait, like, is something wrong with me? Is something wrong with my relationship that I'm not jumping all over them because everyone else says that that's what you're supposed to do? Or is, like, are they not that into me if we're not jumping all over each other? Like, it makes you question so many things, when in reality, life is just hard, and not everyone has sex every night. I was watching Too Hot to Handle, and yes, these people, no, not Too Hot to Handle, Perfect Match.
Okay, I haven't watched it.
And for those who don't know, it's a Netflix show where they took all of the people who had been on other Netflix dating shows, put them together, and date each other. And there was this thing called a truth booth where you had to guess if, like, what your partner would think about these certain questions. And one of it was like, your partner wants to have sex 6+ times a week. And that every single person was like, yes. They were like, literally one of the women was like, 6? That's nothing.
Because they're on national television. I'm telling you, there's like a pressure to it. I guarantee if in their real lives someone was trying to like have sex with them every single night, they would not be okay. Like,
I would break up with that person.
No, literally. Like, I'm tired.
Like, I'm tired. I'm full.
I'm ambitious. I have IBS. Like, I have fucking things to do. I'm like gassy. Like, there's things. Also, like, hormones. Yeah. Libido. Like, I was on birth control for 11 years. My libido was out the window. Now I'm off of birth control and it is absolutely back. But that I was under the impression that, like, once I got off birth control and my libido was back, that I would be like wanting to have sex all the time. That's also not true, because we live in New York City and we're stressed. You have to be very relaxed, especially as a woman, to like get in the mood to have sex. Yeah. That is very hard to get relaxed in New York City. Like, I end work at 7 and I'm trying to wash up by 9. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing work. Like, when is that?
Right.
When do you think I'm like having time to relax and feel sexy on a Tuesday night after I cook dinner?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, what matters is not what seems to be the social norm, because what seems to be the social norm, is probably false.
Yes.
But what matters is that you and your partner are on the same page, or you're having conversations about it. Like, okay, like, how do we feel about the amount of sex we're having? Like, do you want to be having more? Like, how, if so, like, let's talk about that. How can we set ourselves up for that? Or like, should we be having less? Like, I think the biggest friction comes when the two people are not on the same page. But again, that's for them to figure out, not for some celebrity or influencer or reality star to come here and say, this is what you should be doing, because this is what everyone should be doing. Because no.
Also, like, just to round out the conversation off of that, I saw a clip. I don't know what podcast it was on, but it was on Dear Media's TikTok. So one of the Dear Media podcasts, I don't remember which, had sex therapists on their podcast. And they said, the number one question we get is, how frequently should we be having sex? And here's their answer. It's not about a number. It's about quality over quantity. So if you are having sex twice a year, but you're feeling so connected and intimate and so filled with pleasure and so pleased with that, you are in a healthy, loving relationship. If you are having sex 5 times a week and you're thrilled about it and it's the best sex you ever had and you're so happy about it, like, that's also great. So But then if you're having sex every single night, but you're feeling disconnected, not interested, like you can't communicate that like this isn't working, then you'd rather be the person having sex 2 times a year. So the whole point is like exactly what you said, getting on the same page together and making sure that you don't also feel forced or pressured to be having more sex just because then you're not even getting pleasure out of it. Because then what's the point?
Totally. And also just remember, like, it's one part of your relationship and there are so many other aspects of your relationship that are so important and matter equally or even more. And so I get questions all the time from listeners of like, we're having so much sex and it's amazing, but like, I don't actually know if I'm into them. It's like, well, that's not your person.
Yeah, so true.
Because that's not the only thing that matters in a relationship.
1,000,000%. Especially if like that's all you're doing. But if you have both, I'm sure that's absolutely incredible. But if you're not also feeling connected to the person, like it's all about that connection and like the intimate conversations and all that. So like, if that means that you two have sex more frequently and you're having an amazing time, great. Yeah. If that means you have sex once a month when you can really, like I personally would rather have like all the time in the world and intimacy less frequently than like a rushed quickie where I'm not getting any pleasure like all the time personally. But some people don't feel that way and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, exactly. And guys, if Jen and I could sit here and have this conversation, then you can go to your partner and have a conversation with them about the amount of sex you're having or not having and how you feel about it.
And your friends, though. That is why we wanted to have this conversation regardless of the family members listening because...
But they're not, because we told them to turn it off and they respected that.
Yeah, but the TikTok clips... but
damn it,
you should talk to your friends because I remember when I started opening up about it and saying, but I'm thrilled about it. Like, I'm actually having better sex once I stop getting down on myself about it.
Yeah.
About the frequency of it. I've had better sex since. But my point is, like, that is why we wanted to have this conversation because not everyone's honest about it. Like, you could think someone's your really close friend, but they're, like, so insecure that they're trying to act like they're in this, like, sex-filled relationship that they're not really in. So, like, point being, be honest with your friends. Let's all start getting a little more real. And, like, I'm not saying that, I know I said before you're lying. I do actually have a friend who's, like, the horniest person on the planet and, like, is hornier than all of her boyfriends she's ever had and, like, does have sex multiple times a week. And, like, that is amazing for you.
We're all different.
That's the point here is we're all different and start getting honest with your friends because the more honest we all are with each other, the less pressure women are going to feel.
And the more normal we're all going to feel.
Right.
That's all we want is just feel like we're normal.
It's like actually
it's literally all we want.
But I feel like people are just starting to open up about this.
Yeah.
So you're welcome. And if we get texts from our family members, like...
No, we didn't.
Okay, lastly.
You got it?
Yeah. Being single when all your friends are engaged. Thoughts on that? Because I'm the one, I'm not engaged, but I'm on the other side of it where like my single friends consider me like the wifed up one.
I think it's a 2-part equation here. One, and I'll try and keep it brief. It's also on you. Your friends might get caught up in being engaged in planning their wedding, in their relationships and going on double dates. They might forget, like I said, we all have felt left behind. They might not realize that they're making you feel that way. So part of it is you don't want to lose your friendships. And it might take a conversation of, hey, I miss you. And I know you're busy with all your stuff, but I would love a wing woman, would love someone to go out with. And I know you're not trying to meet people, but I am. Like, do you want to have a silly night and help me with that? B, you can make new friends. And that doesn't mean that your engaged friends or your in relationship friends are any less important. But I do think it's really, really important to have somebody who's going through the same thing as you. And who wants to do the same things as you.
On the other side of it, I get jealous when my friends, like when my single friends are all going out together or find different people to go out with. I genuinely get jealous, and not because I want to go out, because I will go to dinner and then they go out and I'm like, I'm going home because I just can't do this anymore. But it's like you're in such a fun phase in your life. Like we all want things that we can't have, I feel like. Like as someone who's wifed up and doesn't want to go out, I am jealous of the people having fun and going out.
Yeah.
I got it out of my system in college. Like Mardi Gras took the life out of me, so I just like can't fucking do it anymore. But I get jealous too of like the single friends who are going out and having fun and making new friends. So it's kind of just like try to relish in the moment and phase that you're in life, because we all want to be at a different point. It's kind of like when Natalie and I always talk about how like we're in different, looking at it from a bird's eye view. She has 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have 8,000. So it's like I'm in like the hustle phase, and she's in the like, she's already kind of accomplished her goals, and now she's, you know, trying to be a CEO. But like at the end of the day, we struggle with the same things, and it's very interesting. And I feel like it can be related to the same situation where it's just like you kind of always want what you can't have, and you miss where you once were. And
exactly, the missing where you once were. It's like you will never get this time back.
Yes.
And I know, like we said, like, oh, like you can go make new friends to go out with. Like, oh, Anna, Jen, how do we do that? First of all, you can ask your friends if they have any other single friends who would want to go out with you. Maybe they have like a best friend from work who would be your best wing woman, and you'd have so much fun going out with and just like having a silly night together. 2, the workout classes you're going to, whatever activities you're doing. This is where having hobbies and creating that life for yourself becomes so much more important, even when you're single, and when you continue to get into a relationship and maintain that independence. Surround yourself with people who do the same things as you. You will naturally meet people. Also, if you feel like, okay, I don't have any of these things anywhere. I'm not in that kickball league. I don't go to workout classes. I don't have friends who have coworkers because they're all entrepreneurs starting their own companies, whatever it is. Go on fucking Bumble BFF.
I was just going to say, though, I think people need to be more open to being set up in terms of, like,
friends.
People are so open to, like, being set up on dates, but you're so right. Like, I have 2 single friends in mind right now. I'm best friends with both of them from different worlds. And if they just asked me to get set up, they would go out on a single girls' night trying to pick up boys and, like, have the time of their life. And I never even thought to set them up because all I'm thinking about is setting them up with guys.
Yeah.
So do that. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Like, I almost wish I was single to do that.
Set your friends up with friends.
I love that.
Set your friends up with friends.
Fun facts and favorites, ending segment. What's your favorite podcast right now?
Oh, man.
Why is this the hardest question I asked?
So it's so funny because, and I'll keep it brief, I never used to
You
listen
don't
to
listen?
podcasts. No, now I do.
Okay.
Now I do. On Purpose with Jay Shetty.
Love. Okay, what is your favorite way to move right now? I feel like I know the answer. Rumble boxing.
Rumble.
Love that for you.
Rumble tread. Rumble training.
Love.
Yeah.
Take 11:45 Chris's class on Sundays with me.
Okay.
I go every Sunday.
Tomorrow?
It's so fun. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Amazing. Do you read?
I'm a new reader. I've read like 8 books in the last year and a half. I'm very proud. Okay, maybe like 5.
No, same. I'm in the
But
same
I'm very proud
boat
of
as
that.
you.
November 9 was my favorite.
I read that. You would like Ugly Love.
I did not.
Okay, we're opposites because I liked Ugly Love better than November 9. I
didn't
feel like
like
there's
it
2
at
types
all.
of Colleen Hoover people.
Yeah.
We're opposites. Okay,
I'm like very like PG-13, like high school reader.
got it.
Like I would read the Click books all over again and be thrilled.
But me too.
I guess
We just like
most people would.
different
Yeah.
storylines, I guess, because they're both Colleen
Yeah.
Hoover vibe. Okay, what is a wellness product you can't live without right now if you have one?
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Okay, you guys.
My legs are cramping.
I'm gonna do a plug here because I launched a product, Mindset Wellness CBD Dating Anxiety Pack. For anyone who is struggling with dating anxiety or even just like work anxiety, normal anxiety, this pack comes with 20 CBD gummies and 10 is happy and 10 are calm. And my thing, what I would do to kind of kick my dating anxiety, I would actually take a happy gummy before my date. It would just like kind of take the edge off and make me go into the state feeling like not stressed, not anxious, and just like
Happy.
good. Yeah, happy. And then as soon as I would get home from the date, I would take a calm gummy, kind of as like a mental signal to myself, like, okay, like don't start panicking, don't start overthinking, like just be calm. And it scientifically helps and it also mentally helps. And so that's mindsetwellness.com, the dating anxiety pack. Use code Seeing Other People for 20% off.
That was an ad if I've ever heard. I'm just kidding. Okay, lastly,
Hashtag sponsored.
what's your, just because we didn't talk about this, I know we have to wrap, but what is your like number one social media tip for anyone who's aspiring to be a content creator right now, selfishly?
Take breaks if you can.
Oh, I like that.
There's nothing better than time off from social media.
I'm trying to get better
I try
at
and
that.
do even, I call them phone-free times, and even watching a TV show where my phone is just on the other side of the room in the charger is so beneficial.
I'm trying to get better at that. Also, it's like there's no rush.
There's no rush.
Like, you know, like it's a long game if you're doing it for the right reason. So like it's okay to take a minute.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better at that. Okay. Where can everyone find you? Seeing Other People, all the things.
You can find the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, Seeing Other People, on Instagram at Seeing Other People, and on TikTok at Ilana Dunn.
Love you.
Bye.